Hey everybody, it's Austin again, and we finally got the new skid plate in for the Tundra that I am replacing because we're getting, as you can see, we got new wheels and we're getting new tires this week. So just to give us a little bit more clearance that when we turn to lock, we're not rubbing, and the new skid plate is just a little bit thicker and a little bit more stout than the factory one. So I ordered one from RCI. They're the most reputable on the forums and from the videos that I've seen. So let me show you guys the difference between the two and we'll get it installed real quick. All right, so this is not my skid plate, but this is my cute dog, Duke. Duke. He's a good boy. But these are the skid plates that, oh. All right, so this is the factory skid plate that comes on the truck. And you can just see it is super thin sheet metal. That, of course, will stop rocks and everything else from flying up. But if you are taking your truck off-road, which, you know, we may get to in the Tundra in a little while, you want something a little bit more stout to protect the oil pan and everything else underneath there. And also, to do an oil change on the Tundra, you have to drop the whole factory skid plate, whereas the aftermarket ones from like RCI come with a spot that you just undo with a couple Allen keys, and then you can access the oil drain pan or the oil filter. So these are the two differences in the skid plates, and you can see the aftermarket RCI one is like double the length of coverage. So that's really exciting. And then the one I got was their cheapest one. It is 10 gauge metal, which I believe is, I'll put in the size. I forget what the size is. It's a little under 1/4 inch. So maybe 3/16. But it is a lot thicker and it is solid steel powder coated. So I think it'll be a great addition to the truck. And this is what it looks like without a skid plate under here. And I have the 1-inch differential drop because I added a 3-in-1 leveling kit. And now we'll see what it looks like afterwards. All right, so here's the supplied hardware for the skid plate. And you can see there's a lot of nuts and bolts here. But I was able to find on the RCI website their instructions for how to do this, but I'm gonna give you guys a little video tutorial. So the first step is you take these 1/4-inch carriage bolts that, if you have a factory bumper, and you go ahead and you put them in the front 3 holes here, just like so. And we're gonna put them there and keep them in place with these retainer washers, just like this. So that's gonna keep them in place while we're dealing with the skid plate. So you can go ahead and lift this up, and hopefully your skid plate stays in place. And take your retaining washer and put it on. Sorry, my dog's going nuts. You drop it. So you're gonna go ahead and put that on with the fins facing out, and that will hold it in place. Once you get the retainer washer set like this, just use a deep socket, a small deep socket, and you'll push from one end and hold the bolt down on the other side, and that will allow it to push flush like that one, just to hold it in place. And then you're gonna do that with the big carriage bolts in the very bottom holes, using the big retaining washers, just to keep it in place to help you with the installation. So go ahead and press those on. You also want to make sure you put on the fender washers and the nylon lock nuts, just in preparation for putting it up there. Excuse me. because this will hold the plastic tabs of your bumper just in place once you have everything installed. Now here's the carriage bolt installed with the retainer clip. So now you're ready to lift it up underneath the truck and try to get it put on by yourself if you don't have help. All right, so we're under the truck now, and these 3 spots go into these holes right here. And if you have a differential drop like I do, you can see right here and right here, you're gonna want to add the differential drop spacer on top of your bolt. And that spacer is gonna go right here. So it's gonna give us some clearance in between the cross member and the skid plate to drop it down enough to clear that. So that will be a little bit tricky to feed that up in there and then get it put on, but we'll be able to do it. And then this front part, since I had taken off the skid plate, I had zip tied those up in place, but those don't need to be zip tied anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that, and we'll get it held up and put in place. All right, so stick with me. All right, take 2. Couldn't get it done yesterday, so we're about to continue today. Yeah, going in. Oh, it's kind of nice and cozy. Okay, if this falls and breaks my face, please still love me. And we can go to the back and we'll be well on our way. Okay, so those are in. That's hard. If you have a lift, use it. If you have a lift, you're probably not watching my video though. Okay. Now onto the back. By the way. Well, what does this feel like? It's just open up there. So those are the only 2 holes it can go in. There's only 2 holes at the top of the cross member, so it goes in right here, and right there. Okay, so that goes there. Okay, so let's see if we can see this. So here's the, man, I don't know where the camera is. Okay, here's the carriage bolt. Here's the cross member. And there's the big flat metal piece with the lock washer and the nut on top of it, right there. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and
put the next one on. So you hold that there, grab the big metal piece, add on, like that, grab the lock washer, and hold it. The lock washer on, and then the nut, just right there.
And if you haven't seen my last video of the new Milwaukee 3/8 cordless ratchet, it'll come in super handy right here. But I may just use a ratcheting wrench once we get all this aligned. But now I'm going to go back. Now I'm going to go back and do the other 3 bolts up here with the spacers. This is so easy with your help, thank you. So You won't be able to reach your fingers up in that hole because it's really far up there. So you take off your spacer, you put this up in here.
Yep, you're on it. Right there. Well, you gotta go up a little more.
Oh, I have to get this. Get that started by hand. Okay, how am I gonna get that one on? So to do this one, this middle one, if you've already put up the back end, it helps if you can come in from the side here and hold it in between your fingers and try to get it on top of the tower up in there. Oh, that worked. Okay, and then this last one right here. Nice, so that's on. And then I gotta take this one out to put that spacer. It's a pretty good view of the skid plate. There we go. Okay, so you make sure you leave everything loose so that this can move around. And then I'm just gonna line the front up. Well, line it up with these little bumper flap deals. Make sure everything more or less looks square. Does it look square across here, babe? Like even gap there and even gap there?
It's a little bit further your way on this side.
Too much?
Oh, that's about right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at
See, this one just, there we go. So that reaches, and that reaches. Okay, so, oh, just kick duke. Okay. So, now on your, now right here on these little 1/4-inch bolts, you put these flat washers and then the nylon brass locking nuts to hold those in place. And the nylon, the locking nuts, the little smaller bevel end always goes away from the head of the bolt. Alright, so now I'm going to switch back to my 7/16 socket to tighten up these bumper mount deals. On these, just make sure you get a couple threads through, and then that'll allow the nylon lock to engage. And I think this is square. Everything looks good. All right, so now I'm just gonna tighten all the bolts that we put in, like in these holes, for example, here, here, and here. And then I'll throw an open-ended 14mm wrench on top of the carriage bolts. and tighten those up. So I'll show you guys what it looks like once we're done. All right, so here we are at the back, just tightening up the carriage bolts. And I just threw an open-ended wrench on top of that and give it the old 1-2. So once that's done, I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, so now that it's finally installed, I am super pleased with how it looks. It just looks super cool. And you've got really deep coverage compared to the factory skid plate. So that's really exciting. You have a notch cut out for your oil drain plug, as well as, this is the part I really wanted, was a compartment just to open using an Allen key to access your oil filter. So that'll be super helpful in not having to drop the whole skid plate just to do your oil change. So I hope this helps some of you guys out. I know it's an expensive purchase, but it'll definitely keep your truck in really good shape and protected, as well as it looks cool and gives you easy access and less of a headache to get to your oil filter when you guys are doing your oil changes. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and sorry for the wind. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.